I can't. Oh. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our second series of the night, and it is going to be a banger of a series, to put it in Twitter terminology, my friends. But we've got Lycus Empire going up against Emergence. These two teams, very hot. Emergence coming off of the second longest competitive game ever recorded and the kill record, and then Lycus coming in with those hot pickups as well, and they're looking very strong. So, Sticulate Chief, my esteemed colleagues, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. The BO3 duo is going to be here with the BO2 today, so
Yes.
it's going to be a little bit shorter, assuming that we don't go into a 24-round OT again, or 24-round series.
Right.
So, I mean, in theory, you could turn this into a custom BO3, I guess, if you want to look at that direction.
Sure. It definitely could play out as long as that, too, especially when you look at the longer match we saw previously from Emergence that Nash mentioned. This is, I think, I said it on Twitter, probably going to be one of the best games of the season. Definitely, in my opinion, the best game we've seen so far. Just between the strengths of these teams, Emergence are incredible on the playing field. Lycus Empire making a few roster changes recently. They're untested now as they bring in Lethal Gamage. I still think, though, that they will retain the performance as we've come to expect from them in their previous matchups.
Uh-oh, we're going to Kafe currently. That's very scary for me. If you're a fan of Emergence, you wanted that map pretty much instantaneously removed. Lycus Empire is terrifying on this map. It's just basically, they're able to play utility consumption simulator plus aggro, where they're going to be so aggressive, they're going to be instantly trying to snipe away either their primary entry or the primary support operator. So you have to protect your entire team if you're Emergence. And to basically double down that meta, Emergence has really struggled playing against hyper-aggressive teams.
You're right on there, and I think bringing Lycus not only to Kafe as they have picked it, but leaving Oregon up on the board, this is really risky for Emergence. Maybe they can back it up. Maybe we'll have to wait and see. As far as the records we've seen so far through the season, Emergence have not had the best run. They've only won, I think, a single map. That'd be versus Renaissance on Oregon, so at least they do have a claim that they've won on Oregon previously. But Lycus Empire, they can say they have won it previously, and they've won it so many times during the qualifiers. They won it like upwards of 8 times. It's just incredible, their record on the map. And maybe things have changed recently. Obviously, the qualifier roster was a bit different. That would have been with, I think, the old combo between Search, Call, and Defiance. But now, as we have the new replacements, maybe Oregon has fallen a little bit more out of preference. I've got a bit of an inside look from Defiance himself. He said he was expecting to go to Kafe and Club, and he thought that they might ban Oregon, which is really odd to see that, you know, things went the way that they did. As far as the rest of the predictions, Emergence were pretty well spot on. I think the Villa ban is a little bit unusual, especially considering how well Emergence performed on it in their previous attempt, even if they did lose.
Sticula, we need to stop swimming in the same circles, because you stole the words straight out of my mouth. I knew Defiance wanted to take us to Kafe, so we just need to stop sharing notes and stop being disciples of the exact same note-taking strategy.
Well, yeah, that's just how it goes. But Kafe, I think, is the more untested of the two maps. The big thing to look at here for Lycus Empire is simply the fact there are no VODs from them on this map, which leaves it in a pretty uncertain state. We'll move now to looking at the player cards. Check it out. Goria through into Playday 3 already. 71 frags. That is so impressive from him.
I mean, the man's currently sitting in the top 100 in the world with his champ. I think it's like 99 or something like that. So you can't really beat the man. He clicks heads, but his entire supporting staff also does that as well. Cloud's also just hit champ this week, but I think he's sitting closer to the 200 mark. I say only, but still he's top 200 in the world. And I just love that about this Emergence roster. They have so much depth and so much talent, but yet they still struggle against hyper-aggressive teams. And I think once they start to come out of their shell a little bit more, and I've been hearing that they've been playing very well against each other in scrims, but we're gonna have to see what that translates into in a live match.
Well, Chief, I know for a fact that I can sort of translate this to a little bit of physics here. You know what I'm saying? You have Emergence, who is historically from last season also a very hyper-aggressive team. You know, they said themselves that they really didn't scrim a whole lot and they weren't very organized last season. They had to play hyper-aggressive. So you put them up against a team like Lycus Empire, who also has that sort of play style, but you know, they've been together for a long time and they haven't really refined. So it's almost like a situation where magnets, you know, the same side repels each other. So it's just pushing back and forth against each other like that, and it's going to create a lot of tension potentially here, and it's just going to be a matter of, you know, who sort of slips out first and is going to allow for the other team to take the lead. That's just my really terrible representation of it, but you know.
All right, I can deal with that. One issue that I think Emergence could face is simply Goria. If he consistently is going down early and they lose out on that large batch of frags, which he seems to bring every single round, that could be really concerning, especially when you look at that in combination with the momentum. If you're having your top fragger go down every single round, there are more concerns with how you're going to be pushing onto the bomb side. If you can't get that crucial momentum going in terms of your executes, there are more issues at hand. Though looking over towards Lycus Empire now, the fragging category seems pretty well spread between everyone, though Lethal Damage, no data as of yet, seeing as he's just coming in fresh and new, he's got the opportunity to start us off with a good performance.
And we all know this roster for the most part. As you mentioned, Lethal is the newest addition to the team, but we still have Hourly, Braction, and Defiance. Now, Braction goes by Sensei in game, so when you don't see him in the lobby, please don't panic. He is there. He just has a different name to show. But Defiance has been this individual who's been known for his hyper-aggressive plays, these very banana-type runouts, but with the introduction of Braction on this roster, Defiance has actually taken a step back. He is less aggressive than what he used to be. He's still aggressive. He's still going to be flying out of windows with Valkyrie, but he's not playing Caveira and flying out of windows.
I enjoy that, and I think having Braction on here, you know, being that he has T2 experience playing with Shook Squad, he can kind of help to reel in some of that aggression. You know, at some points, maybe say that it is okay for Defiance to go for these runouts, but Braction, in a lot of ways, acts kind of as the voice of reason. You know, when everyone else is kind of getting in their heads and maybe the tilt factor starts to show up a little bit, he can kind of work in there and have everybody calm down and make sure that the aggressive plays that Defiance is going to, A, that they're warranted, and B, that they are intelligent. We'll see the standings now as well. Interesting to see, you know, neither of these teams are way too out ahead, though we are still in the early stages of the fourth season here for SCS. I think Lycus Empire definitely could be one of the playoffs contenders, and maybe even join the ranks of the top three once we see some of these latter playdays.
So I'm going to bring up real quick. Sorry, Chief. I know you're probably going to say something there too, but I want to highlight as well. I know Stickler was potentially looking to mention this later on, but Redux Rising has actually won via forfeit. So 303 unfortunately had a player issue come up and they're not going to be able to play tomorrow. So that catapults Redux Rising to the top of the standings tentatively, right? They have 6 wins, 0 losses. But the way it works in SCS is you don't gain round differential. So they retain their positive 11. So long as Lycus Empire can pull out both maps today and, you know, keep their point totals fairly high, they're going to be in that second place slot with the way their points are looking right now. So in the predictions, though, what do you guys think about this, Chief? And I'm gonna dog on you a little bit. I'm actually better at predictions this week, so, you know.
Well, temporarily, and I guess we're going to be stuck being the same for the time being, because In Control Nation did win, and we're both voting for Lycus Empire.
Right.
And that's the thing. Now, Lycus Empire does have a new addition to the roster, but I still think the band of brothers that they're currently utilizing and currently playing with are going to deliver themselves to victory across both maps. Now, Emergence is a phenomenal team, and it's no secret that I'm actually friends with both of these rosters, but Emergence just seems to struggle against hyper-aggressive teams.
I wonder if that's kind of something to do with almost a fight fire with fire mentality. When you have two fragging teams face off, it doesn't always play out in the way that you would expect. I think Lycus, though, they can play both. They can play fragging, they can go aggressive when it's necessary, they can also play more structured. And that comes a lot with what I mentioned earlier in having Braxton. He's got a lot of experience, he knows which setups might work better against fragging teams, especially when you're looking up towards Challenger League. The fragging players that you might see down here in SCS, well, you take that up to CL and you've got it even more so. Some of the best gunners are inside of CL. We'll move over to the predictions now. I haven't had the best week so far. Maybe I should have gone a little bit closer. I think first attempt, though, pretty shocking. But as you mentioned, you guys both predicted Lycus Empire. I have to stay pretty close to the helm there as well. The performance which we've seen from them recently throughout both SCS as well as some of their other games that I've seen in AEL has been really consistent, and they've been able to topple some of the best contenders.
It's been a phenomenal showing from all these teams, honestly, so far this season. That's why I love Season 4 so much, is everyone's pretty closely matched with each other. I feel like there hasn't really been too crazy of these blowout games or anything like that this season. I mean, everyone's picking up rounds, everyone's getting their frags, which is awesome to see. But these two teams for sure have what it takes to be real contenders. I know that Chief was highlighting Emergence has a little bit more to come back from, I guess, just with their history against hyper aggressive rosters, but Lycus for sure. So let's go ahead and take a look at some team statistics here from this season so far. Any big highlights that really stand out to you guys? I know for sure for me, I'm gonna say Navozo.
You highlighted Navozo. I was gonna
Hey.
highlight Navozo. I mean, I love In Control Nation. I love what it has become. It's basically just a mix match of different teams from across T3 just being put together, and just, I guess, the first ever super team. Are we allowed to call them a super team? Yes, we will. You have Unreal Nightmare in here. You have Homeland, or technically it was the old HLA roster that turned into the main Homeland team, but nonetheless, it's basically some of the best and most well-known names all together on one super team. And well, Wichita Wolves, another team I want to highlight, simply because they haven't really found their chemistry yet. They've been trialing individuals across all three Playdays, and as soon as they're able to actually set up their permanent 5-man roster, I think they're a team that should be feared. But that is if and only if they actually set up their 5-man roster.
Guys. Take a look at Hazmat. He's got more than a 0.4. He's got more than a 0.4. That is a huge W. Let's go. Give it up in the chat right now for this man.
I mean, apparently every time I utter Synthetic's name, they start to lose, at least if I compliment them. And well, it's so sad. Like, they were doing great, so I talked about how they were doing great. And the moment I started to hype them up, calling Haz a prodigy, they just started to crumble. So maybe I just have to continuously call AJ the Synthetic or owner Smelly.
Perhaps.
Oh
I think
God.
one thing to look at is if Synthetic can't improve their performance approaching the halfway point of the season, I would not be surprised to see Fig get poached and move on to one of the other rosters, just because, I mean, so far maybe his team hasn't had the best performance. Him as an individual, though, approaching a 1.20 rating, it's pretty good, and I think he would be a solid pickup. We'll be moving over to some of the other teams, though. We got Visionary and Redux Rising. Another couple of the top performers, though. It's good to see from Visionary the fact that their ratings, they're all pretty closely tied together. I'm more of a fan of teams that tend to play consistently. You don't see those big outliers, and it can be fun to watch a star player, but when they don't show up, there are some issues. We'll move over now to some of the other players. 303, because of their forfeit loss, the ratings don't exactly reflect that. They haven't actually had a performance that was, surprisingly poor. Shiba at a 1.25 as well.
And well, I want to highlight somebody else in this list, somebody that gets overlooked a lot. It is going to be Bait, the former member of Class Central that got poached into first attempt, and he's been their IGL. He's been struggling since this is one of his first showings in IGL, but I think once he comes into his own, comes out of his shell, he can be a phenomenal player. But we're also highlighting rosters that are struggling against really aggressive teams. First attempt is also fitting in that bubble, so hopefully they can figure out, what they're doing wrong, take a nice deep breath, and channel their inner Emergence.
Yeah, I want to see First Attempt do well. They've got a lot of really fun talent on that roster, and unfortunately, I think the coordination is still something they have been working on. Bait has made statements recently that he's coming to a point in his career where he's starting to be more committed, and that's what you like to see, especially from the former TTU captain. Bait is just... I think he can do well. I think First Attempt have a great shot. That's why I predicted that they would win, because I still have faith that the First Attempt roster, eventually they're going to come around and they're going to move up in the standings. But we are coming ever so close to our initial map for the second series. Kafe and then Oregon second. What do you got to say, Nash?
Oh man, I was just gonna say this is gonna be probably the most exciting match. I'm jealous of you guys having to getting to cast this one for sure. But with that being said, it looks like your casting skills are being called upon. So I'm gonna go ahead and warp myself off the screen. You guys go have fun. I'll be waiting for you when you're done.
Bye, Nash.
All
Love
right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, honey.
Operator bans. So, I kind of want to take a look here for op bans specifically. Kafe can be pretty easy to predict. Usually we'll see the Thatcher come out at first. If not, maybe something to do with hard breaching the Thatcher. Obviously, there he goes. From Emergence's game on Kafe, they banned a Clash, which is not the most common in terms of Kafe. I wonder if they might try to do that here as well. Lycus Empire, historically, through all of their maps, tend to ban a Wamai. The Maverick as well, so we've got Ace still on the board. Also something you might see, a Cade.
And well, Cade might get banned because, well, you can throw those Kaid charges. I guess the rafters in, was that kitchen? Or I guess it's not a rafter, that's almost like a shelving
up by
unit.
the roof,
Yeah, or a
kind of,
stove
yeah.
unit, or whatever that metal beam is, you can throw them up there. Well, the pixel shield meta, it's going to be nerfed just slightly, as he's no longer going to be a factor. The 20-second meta has truly been the bane of most of these players, so we're going to turn that dial down a little bit. Now, Mirror is incredibly oppressive on this map. This is probably her best map, and she turns no man's land of Piano basically into this heck hole that you don't want to enter anywhere near. And that's actually why we've seen a lot of teams really rely on a multi-shield strategy, either putting them in bar back, into pixel, or even further back into lumber. And well, it's with the same idea, turning that entire west side of the map into no man's land.
Well, it seems that Emergence are no slouches to bring the Cade. We'll have it come out immediately for the first round of this map. This could be potentially problematic. If you can't clear out those electric claws, it forces you to stall out a little bit. We've got an interesting pick from Sensei. Braxton switching over to the Ashe from the Ying. He's proven to be fairly competent on the Ying in some of the games I've seen him since. And it's pretty scary, you know, when you've got the 81 bullets in Ying's LMG, you don't want to get in front of that. Ashe as well can be incredibly strong in her performance. The Vigil, though, from Emergence, so it seems they're going to be investing at least a little bit into that realm. Probably a smart idea from my point of view. Lycus Empire, if you allow them to post up immediately close to the bomb site, they are going to execute, really choke you out, and on the first floor, that's super important because you need to clear out through from Bakery if you're going to go for a west side push, or maybe you're focusing more on east as coming in through the freezer, as well as Whiskey Bar. If we see Lycus Empire allowed to push up early, establish positions on the first floor without much trouble from Emergence, I think we could easily see this round going early for them, and them starting off with a nice little lead.
So this deployable shield over by the A bomb chassis has been something a lot of teams have actually started to utilize, but there's a dark side to it as well, because teams have actually started to plant the bomb behind the deployable shield, and the defenders don't have an answer back. So hopefully there's some contingency plan from the defensive side to blow that deployable shield up if the attackers have control of prep as well as the west wall, because you don't want your own utility to be used against you. Lethal damage is going to be removed from the lobby due to some unforeseen circumstances, and because we're 40 seconds into the round, rehost will not be able to be used. So it's going to be an effective 4v5 for the remainder of the round, and that is a lot of utility already being lost.
Immediate disadvantage here for Lycus Empire, going to be a bit more of a struggle, especially if Lycus can't find a way to frag this back into a 4v4. We see Evil Clouds over here by Red Hall, continuing to apply pressure, as well as a very smart and albeit somewhat conservative smoke shield here at the prep doorway. Drone spotted out, and a frag grenade lobbed. That'll destroy the shield, do a bit of damage onto Ben, and force him to play more passive. The drone work continuing to come through as Lycus Empire try to dial in these last positions for the full stack on the side of EMG. Rotate as well. Lycus Empire focusing primarily on this west take. It could be successful, especially now when you don't have to worry about the smoke. Holding close with that shotgun, the M590 up close and personal is no friend of the attackers.
And as we're at the halfway mark, we can actually see the role changes that Emergence has been talking about on Twitter. It is going to be Son of Finn and Ben changing their spots. Finn has been really the primary support operator, playing usually that smoke role, but they have changed things up to see how it's going to affect against these hyper-aggressive teams, just like we see right now. But no utility really being utilized by the defenders. It's going to be the attackers utilizing that utility, as a frag grenade is going to be sent all the way down to the B bomb site. It's going to find its target, and that has been the smoke that we were talking about. All that damage he could potentially do, plus the time wasting, will not be a factor in round number 1, and he's going to have to rely on his teammates to play these very aggressive long angles all the way back from Meat Locker.
No more shotgun blues. We'll see another push-up call, tagged up quite a bit. Son of Finn on the long angle, but now the cross is smoked and the plant should begin. A nitro cell tossed out, but it looks to be in the wrong direction. You got to worry about this vertical play, though. Goria will kill the Ash, already taken low Defiance down as well, but Call planting safely at Rice, and they've got no idea about this, but only him left. The odds stack so heavily against his favor, and they've got a ping as well, so it seems his position is well understood. The Malusi first to swing. Call will cut her down, but he doesn't have enough room to take down the last 3. Emergence clean it up for a round victory in number 1, despite the post plant, despite Lycus Empire being able to push that into a 4v4.
And well, Emergence, they had a good understanding of how to defend this bomb site, especially with that vertical control. That's the most important thing. When attacking teams attempt to do this very linear take through Big Bakery, well, that means that defenders are allowed to use the vertical holes the attackers tend to utilize basically against them, and preventing anybody from moving in from the west. Now, sure, you can take control of Prep. You can take control of Big Bakery. That's great. But as soon as you leave that power position the attackers own into the defender territories, well, you're going to be walking into a multi-angle crossfire, particularly from above. And that's something you have to address with almost instantaneously. The opportunity cost is time when you do the big grandiose vertical clears all the way from the 3rd floor, working your way down, but you have to shut down the defender's power positions.
I think that was mostly just Lycus Empire looking at the facts and saying, you know, we're already at 4v5, we have an immediate disadvantage, and even with, you know, the time concern, I think the manpower is another worry. You try to go for a top floor clear, especially versus Emergence, which are not a slouch team in terms of their gun skill. You could very well lose out the round simply before you even reach the bomb site. So Lycus had to decide whether or not they want to try and invest in that risk of clearing out Train. Ultimately, they decided not to, and it punished them. If we head back there, I want to see Lycus Empire go for a full clear if they can manage it. Either that, or you kind of need to decide, you know, whether you're going to go for a full rush onto the bomb site. If Emergence are going to be consistent in their train holds, Lycus Empire needs to do something about it.
And the attackers are going to be relinquished from their spawn, allowed to start to move throughout this map and take the vertical control. But we are on the tertiary bomb site, and a bomb site that teams can rush on, particularly through Hell Door. There are members of Lycus Empire prepared to go. There are drones confirming the locations of the defenders of Emergence. So the bells might be tolling. They might be going. But for the time being, they're just going to continue to do their due diligence with their little roly friends. And they're just still trying to figure out what they want to do. Defiant's going to say, this is not an option for us. We have to do a more traditional clear all the way top down.
Nice little angle here held by Son of Finn, trying to watch on down. A very typical hold from Emergence as they extend up into Cocktail. The rotate, though, we won't see a full confirm of the Snow Door rush. Now we've got Defiance as he begins the standard process. The issue I see here is that Lycus changed up their mind halfway through, and already attacking this top floor hold, it takes a lot of time, a huge time sink. If you make up your mind halfway through the round, that just compounds that, and you're already moving at an increasingly slow pace. And should you take control of Cocktail, it's probably not going to be before the 1 minute mark on the clock. We'll see a gas canister as well that just works even more so to slow this down. 1 minute and 30 seconds, not even inside a freezer yet. I'm starting to get a bit worried, and there's still plenty more utility to clear. At least one ADS will be removed. The lifeline angled up as she prepares to shoot open the castle barricade on the Cocktail double door, and a frag grenade tossed over the wall as well. So, yes, they've been able to achieve the steps necessary in getting open all of this utility, but now Emergence can basically rotate down. They've already achieved the time wasted necessary in order to be successful on this bomb site, especially when you have that Melusi. She is so effective when you have a little time.
And there are only 2 nitro cells in favor of Emergence, so if they were able to utilize them perfectly, that could be 2 free kills. And it's going to be the attackers utilizing almost the exact opposite strategy. Once again, they're going to be swinging those sledgehammers as well as those breaching charges to try to force the defenders away. Now, they don't have a lot of time for this strategy, and given the fact that Emergence is currently shooting back at them, that's going to make things even worse. The first kill is going to go in favor of the attackers, though, as their strategy of isolating the bomb sites are going to be even better. But finally, Goria is going to have a say in that, as he's going to get a kill of him by himself and rotating away, and all of a sudden Emergence is starting to crumble, as it's now just Goria stuck in a 1v4. His position is known, but he's able to win his exchange on the brown stairs, looking for 3 more. Currently, they have no idea where he is, but the time is very limited. Looking the wrong way, Lethal's going to be shut down, but Defiance is going to get that refrag.
Well, Lethal Damage didn't get an opportunity to display his skill in the very first round, seeing as he disconnected, but now he certainly put on a show, a triple kill. Lycus Empire put a lot of stock in that last second clear. They were lucky to win nearly all of their gunfights. The Jaeger, yes, he got a couple of frags there in the exit. Ultimately, though, they were relatively impactless. They still had enough manpower left to conservatively hold the site, sit on angles, and wait. And when you're a defender in that situation, the attackers, all they need to do is just sit pretty and wait for you. That's exactly what we saw from Defiance. He just sat inside of the laundry room closet, and ultimately the Jaeger around the corner, and he found him. Emergence, they can waste all this time, but they need to make sure that what time they have wasted doesn't flip-flop in the end.
And to build upon that a little bit more, I think a lot of defending rosters understand we've wasted a lot of time because we're playing very passive. So now as we approach the 30-second mark, we can still be just as passive and allow the attackers to push into us. And yes, that could be the correct strategy. A lot of times it is, but you have to be very wary of where you are on the map, and that is called micro positioning. Because if you're currently sitting in fireplace and that's where you've been the entire round, well, the attackers can shoot you from 180-degree crossfire, and you have to be looking into trains as well as the white stairs, and that can put you in a very terrible position. And the poor player sitting in fire was the first casualty for Emergence, because they didn't exactly know where that push was going. But if they committed to being a little bit more aggressive and saying, hey, I'm going to actively challenge the white stairs, those casualties might have been able to ramp up. Now, sure, Emergence did get a kill there, but they weren't prepared for the onslaught and the flood down those white stairs.
I wonder if that really just came down to mispositioning from not players, but the Banshees from the Melusi, because we already saw a ton of utility from Lycus. You need to use all that utility when you clear out the top floor, because all of that is basically dedicated. And so when you move back down to the bomb site, really what you've got left is maybe a couple of Evil Eyes, maybe Goyo Shields, as well as the Banshees. And you might not always have the ability to clear those out, and I think that's where the Melusi succeeds the most in these very extended vertical holds. The Banshees are just simply able to persevere downstairs, and as long as you can stay alive after the time burn happens and taking the top floor, you can focus on just one thing: winning your gunfights with low time. The attackers, they have to play really sloppy when they're moving in fast, and that should be the biggest strength of the defenders. But we didn't see that in the previous attack round. Lycus Empire moved swiftly. They had a common understanding of what was necessary in order to push for the execute. And ultimately, I think it's just a showing of their better coordination. Goria tagged up so incredibly low. For the impact player of defense in the previous round to go down so early, that is really worrying for me, and it should be key pillar of the fragging game shut down.
And the problem is, once again, it's going to be bad micro positioning on the side of Emergence. Gloria has no way of rotating, but he's going to be able to do it successfully. A huge blunder by Lycus Empire. That was a sure free kill because Gloria could not rotate away. It could have been a flashbang and a frag grenade dump for the attackers, but they allow that to basically slip away from their hands as they just push onto the bomb site. Who cares if they miss the opportunity when they can just win their ones down the road? And now it's just going to be Evil Cloud stuck in a 1v5. There's fire all over the white stairs. His position is known. He's in a two-way crossfire. There's almost no hope for him as he walks up the stairs and gets obliterated from a long angle by Braxton. It's going to be a flawless round in round number 3.
What a tempo we've seen set here from Lycus, moving quickly, shutting down everyone. There was nothing in that round for Emergence, and it just seemed like things systematically failed. Another issue is with the lack of the Wamai, remaining in control of Pixel is that much more difficult, and I think forfeiting that early is a big reason why they struggled so much. When the attackers don't have that huge time sink that we keep talking about of these primary areas that you clear before they execute, it allows them so much more time to think it out, to come up with a solid plan. Effectively, the plan in that round was, I think, a fake on a trash door or a cart door plant. They smoked out the cross inside a freezer, and then they tried to move up, and it looked like they maybe were deciding between planting on default Shaiko spot or that smoke corner itself. We didn't get a clear picture because simply Lycus Empire moves so quickly. And if you're having issues when the attackers are pushing in through your site, Chief, where do you look? What do? You try to extend, you try to hold farther away from the bomb site, because slowing down the attackers at that point really is your only opportunity and the only thing you can do.
So the textbook definition is called something called a stage roam. And when you're playing in Pixel, all right, that's your apex point. That's where you want to play. But that means you have to extend just a little bit further. That means you go into shops or maybe through piano bar. You snipe away a drone, fall back to Pixel, snipe away another drone, play your deployable shield until that utility consumption comes in, and then you retreat once again over to White Quarter or to the bathroom, snipe away a drone, and work your way all the way back. Your whole goal is to never have your back against the wall, so it should be a multi-stage roam. Probably a better example of that is the reading room hold, where you start upstairs and you do almost the exact same thing. You start all the way to the west in piano, go to Pixel, and work your way up to 5 stages, and then you go downstairs to the second floor of reading room, and where you have 2 stages. So in theory, that means there's 7 stages to your bomb site, which means at minimum, you should be killing 70% of their drone economy and the majority of their utility. But in practice, especially at the T1 level, most pro teams have 0 drones when they actually execute into reading.
That's a great point to bring up here as we move into, I think this will be the second defense on the bottom floor. And Lycus Empire, just as me and you suggested, are investing more. They're going to go for that full top clear. This is good to see from them, especially with the coordination and the fragging consistency we saw in that previous round. If they can replicate it here and now, they might just win it out. Explosives will be traded between the Cade and the Sledge. A Nitro for a frag grenade, though I don't think we saw Son of Finn detonate his. The frag grenade will drop down low, though, stuck in between the metal rafters. It won't yet deny the Cade. He still, I think, has a Nitro cell, or maybe just trying to contest these vertical holes, but now with the hatch open, he's forced to rotate back into bunker. We'll see an opening above sinks as well. All of the vertical play coming to fruition here for Lycus Empire as they search and clear every single one of these strong defender positions.
And it's the most important thing. They have to find those defender positions and then actively deal with them. And that's the hardest thing. Most attackers can walk through their checklist, and it comes down to the execution phase, and they're like, oh no, what are we gonna do? We've done all of our homework, but we don't know how to actually finish our equation. And right now, Lycus Empire has been finishing the majority of their equations, and they're really relying on their utility to finish those equations. They know that they have 2 members of Emergence stuck all the way over to Java. And tapping away is going to be Sensei or Braction, and that's going to be the call for the attackers to come on through. Defiance is going to be blunting. He's going to be hurting somebody with this SMG-11. It's eventually going to come on through. It took him a while to find his target, but he's going to be successful in that endeavor as more members of Emergence are going to be alerted to the fact that the pounce onto the bomb site, and they're going to be trying to pounce of their own, but they're going to be unable to land the majority of their exchanges as bomb is going to be put onto the deck. It's going to be effectively a 1v3 as Goria is going to have to clutch on up. One of the highest rated players across the entire league is going to do almost the impossible, but unable to break down the crossfires.
Good lord from Lycus Empire. They spent so much time on the vertical clear. We hit the 45-second mark and everything fell into place. I was concerned. I was worried for a minute because they were all forcing in through the hatch drop. Emergence simply could not deny it. There was nothing left from them, and I think that's the vertical play, making sure that nobody was at sinks. You're not worried about the double window. I don't think there was anyone inside a kitchen cooking to hold the crossfire. Everyone was stacked up inside of service. They tried to force in. Again, Lycus Empire won every single one of their gunfights, and it came down to Goria as the final player left standing for the defense. He's so good in the clutch, but so far, Lycus Empire are playing at full steam ahead. They know absolutely what to do. Every single crossfire is checked off, and simply, they are playing far better than Emergence. There needs to be a big change here, because exiting the half already, Lycus Empire securing 3 rounds, the momentum looks furious from them, and I don't expect to see it stop anytime soon. The only round we've seen from Emergence was that first one, the kitchen defense, in which Lycus Empire had a disconnect. They fumbled the execute, and they tried to force in a very typical play. The last 3 rounds have been anything but typical.
And I think Emergence needs to change up how they're defending, because obviously they want to play very passive. They want to play into the traditional meta. And sometimes that works out brilliantly, but the problem is Lycus Empire is another brilliant team, or they're able to play against that meta. They know exactly what to do. They've been dry running this meta, and they're able to break down every single one of those barriers. So Emergence needs to get more aggressive. Maybe you try to double down on your aggression and send 3 people upstairs and try to actively grab those opening kills. Because if you can kill one of the primary hard breachers, I guess the only hard breacher, because it can be Ace in play, or maybe Defiance with that sledgehammer, that's going to really nerf Lycus Empire, because they're not going to be able to take that vertical destruction and that vertical pressure. But they need to change something up, and that change might be moved. Currently sitting over in Sakar's shop. He's been in this position before. He's going to be droned out. There might be an answer back by Lycus Empire. The answer is going to come just a little bit too late, as Lethal is going to be unable to take any damage away from Move, and Move's going to rotate to a new Sanctuary.
The Vigil will drop down through his escape hatch, barely avoiding a swift death from the gun of lethal damage. Excuse me. But now we will see Emergence begin to fall back. They're playing passively. They're going to hold more onto the first floor. Gamage finds Move, though, and this makes Goria play even more passive. Now, control of the second floor has been completely forfeit. No one is left. They're all going back down to the first floor. Lycus Empire on the warpath, but Goria finding frags as he peeks up through Brown and finds Call. Losing your hard breach, now a major roadblock. The obstacle growing larger in the eyes of Lycus Empire. Getting open the kitchen hatch will be impossible, lacking any hard breach remaining, and they will be forced to go for a conventional push. With 1:15, the soft breaching vertical play game has just begun, but much contention here. Emergence peeking up through the hatch. The Cade and the Sledge dodging blows, but now a rotate from Gamage as well. Spotted out is Sonafin, though he gets cut down by the R4C. The advantage goes to Lycus Empire, though the time still a major concern as we elapse 1 minute remaining.
We're saying Emergence need to get more aggressive and kill the primary hard breacher. They accomplished that endeavor, but in the process, they've lost far too many members of their team, delivering us all the way over to a 2-4 split in round number 5. And it's going to be on your 2 remaining on-site players to be able to delay as much time as possible. But time delay has been long gone. You're going to have to win your 1v1 exchanges. Ben is going to be unable to accomplish that. And Goria on the flank will find one. That's going to give a full alert to Lycus Empire of where he is, but it doesn't matter when Goria is just better. He's able to find another kill, but he's going to have to go for 2 more. The bomb is down, guaranteeing 40 seconds left in this round, but with so little HP, it's going to be almost an impossible task.
You cannot give Goria these 1v1 engagements. He'll move closer to the diffuser. A long arm dick attempt will be just not there. The vertical play, though, the Zofia goes above and hourly holding close in the corner. Lycus Empire secure their 4th round victory. Goria with his best attempt yet, ultimately, though, failure to clear the corner without support from his teammate at the end. There's not much you can do, and Goria just keeps being put into these impossible situations. We need to see some support. Where is the rest of Emergence? This is the problem that we identified. Goria cannot be left alone.
And Goria is playing, I think, far too passive as well. He's really relying on Moved to get those kills. And Goria, sure, he probably has the most kills for his team, but they're all impactless because he's in a 1v4. And Goria is a phenomenal player. He's going to win the majority of those gunfights, but statistically, he's not going to win all 4 of those gunfights. So he needs to be on the front line, tag teaming with Clouds as well as Moved. The strategy they utilized at round number 5 did work. They did get aggressive, and they killed Ace. Phenomenal. Try to repeat that in round number 6 and get an additional kill. Try to play off your teammates. And now, well, when we were here last in round number 2, we saw Lycus Empire preparing for a rush. Now that they're up 4-1 going into the last round of Emergence defensive half, I'm assuming Defiance is going to be calling this rush because, once again, Lycus Empire likes to play hyper-aggressive.
Frankly, this is the perfect opportunity to call the rush, too. Emergence have been struggling to win rounds, and so they're continuing to try to work and find something that can stop them. Repeating reading, I imagine they're going to take the lessons learned of the previous round and apply them herein. But the issue is, if Lycus go for a rush, it doesn't matter what lessons were learned in the previous round because Lycus Empire have thrown the textbook out the window and are coming at this with a whole nother type of speed. We won't see a stack up just yet on the east side, so this makes me think we will be having a more conventional attack, not anything too crazy or out of this world. Lycus Empire, I mean, they succeeded when they changed their plan at the last minute. If they can come at this with a full-strength, normal assault on the vertical extension, I don't see why they can't lose it. Or I don't see how they would lose it. It just doesn't seem possible. We'll see the move in now. Jaeger, though, inside of stage. You will find one. Refrag, though, but a Nitro from down low as Evil Clouds takes out Sensei. We'll see the soft breacher duo of Sledge and Ash go down the castle, trying to hold this aggressively, but Call will find him. A headshot connects, and Son of Finn goes down. The advantage back at a 3-3.
So obviously Lycus Empire has seen something different this round that has forced them to change up their attack compared to round number 2. Be very curious to see what those little baby drones were able to confirm between the 2 different rounds. But Lycus Empire has accomplished some of their goal. That is taking control of the west, which is Cigar Lounge. Now they're going to have to start to move all the way into the east and take control of either Skybunks or into Cocktail. And that's going to be the push in for Lethal. But they didn't do their homework confirming that there's an ADS over there. But fortunately for them, all of Emergence has hightailed it out there, retreating all the way to the 2nd floor. The problem with this retreat now is it's 30 seconds too soon compared to the previous round, where Lycus Empire was once again able to bully their way into the bomb site with so little time. Now that you're going to couple that with a lot of time and vertical destruction from Lycus Empire, it's a terrifying round if you're a fan of Emergence.
Especially with the shot caller combo of Sensei and Defiance dead, they're able to think out this plan and come at it with the best route of attack from beyond the grave. Ben down below manages to land a nice shot there on a Gamage. He doesn't have a Nitro to fight the vertical play, and a stack up here from the rest of Lycus Empire. Concerned about the Malusi hiding on brown stairs. A flank from her could divert the course of this round. The Mozzie hiding close in the corner. It doesn't seem they're aware of this. He'll manage to catch the Nomad off guard. The pistol comes out, though Call manages to clean up for the double kill. The flank around the corner. Moved trying to come on in. The SMG-11, maybe a bit of a whiff, but Moved gets it in the end of things. Emergence managed to squeak through at the end of the half, 2-4.
It took Son of Finn a little bit time to identify how Emergence was playing. But Son of Finn and the roster of Emergence was able to identify their mistakes and capitalize on what they were doing wrong, delivering themselves a victory in round number 6. We were calling that Emergence needed to be more aggressive. They needed to get those opening kills, and Goria was the one that stepped up to accomplish that. A phenomenal showing in round number 6, and they're going to have to continue with that movement into round number 7 as they start on attack. And that's what's scaring me. Emergence has to attack. They've been very passive. They've been very laissez-faire with this map. And on Kafe, you cannot be laissez-faire when executing onto that top floor.
You know, I was kind of sad not to see the rush come out from the Lycus Empire, because I felt like that could have worked. When you're sprinting onto the bomb site, already Lycus Empire have leveraged the prize factor in many of their rounds. It just seems like it's something that would work, and I don't think Emergence would be ready for it. But unfortunately, lest this game should go to OT, we won't have an opportunity to see it again, as now Emergence get to flex their attacker muscles at the side switch. One thing that I keep on talking about, Goria needs to have some support from the rest of his teammates. He can't be all alone. And so far, through these first 6 rounds, that's been mostly the case. Nobody on this team, aside from him, has topped 3 kills. And it's worrying, because I know these players can frag out. Ben and Moved, a great duo, even on the flex support roles. I think they can get this done. We just need to see them become a bit more adaptable. And I do recognize, yes, that this is Lycus Empire's map.
And I love how production is starting to implement the new feature where you're able to see tweets live. So if you want to start talking about this game, please be tweeting with the hashtag SCSR6 to have your tweet featured, just like so many individuals today have already had happen to them. But as you're highlighting, currently round number 7, and it's giving the execute of the top floor, working their way down. You need to have boots on the ground in that 3rd floor in the first 40 seconds of the round, and right now Emergence is already 10 seconds behind schedule. And finally, Finn is going to be dropping down. He is not the primary entry. He is now the flank watch. He should not be the one taking control of the West. It should be another member of his roster. Ben with the M249 saw is going to click ahead. That is going to be Braxton shut on down, trying to yeet himself out a window, but his unbridled aggression is going to cost him his life.
I'm really confused. Where did he try to jump out from? Because
Red window,
it seems
I
like, okay, it just seems so risky to attempt here, especially when, I mean, as a defender, you probably want to spend the most of the round in the advantage and not immediately give the attackers plenty of room to breathe. We'll see Son of Finn gunned down, Gamage as well, so now the roam has mostly falled. Never mind, though, as Defiance finds 2. Call manages to take out 1 player as well. That'll be Evil Clouds. And now Ben and Moved, who were just moments before far in the advantage, up by 2, have to play much more slowly. And it's not the 2 operators that I would want last alive in the clutch. I guess the Thermite maybe so, but Lycus Empire are not ready to contest and give up the rest of what they own currently. They're just going to wait here on the top floor. Defiance will manage to find his 3rd kill, massive on the triple through this round. And now Ben has to find 3 of the remaining players. This is double his total kill count if he can manage to do it. Defiance tries to go prone. Ben seemed well aware of that. A bit of a warm-up on the control key as well, and he'll leap over down to the brown stairs. 2 players left for him to defeat.
You gotta dip your potato chip. You need to cover your potato chip with as much hummus as possible. That's at least what Ben wants to accomplish. He's gonna be looking the wrong direction with his M249 saw. He's gonna get an absolute free kill from all the way downtown. He was just stomping his way into the bomb site, and you have to be a little bit more quiet than that if you want to deliver yourself to a victory. And while Emergence, they started off strong with the opening duel, but the problem was they weren't coordinating with their map control. It was just individuals pushing solo and, well, being shut down solo, because 1v1 exchanges are not going to go in your favor when the defenders have set themselves up to have a better win rate in those 1v1 exchanges.
Unfortunate to see Emergence come so close to a solid execute just to fall because they failed to clear 1 single person. Defiance finding so many impact frags. The fact that he shut down Goria and some of the other players who've been standing tall on Emergence so far starting to worry me a little bit, because Emergence had their best shot. Their first attacking round. Talk about the way to start it off in clearing out not only the roamer of Gamage, but also the over-aggressive Braxton. You would think that's the place, that's the time where you slow down and think about what's to remain on the rest of the map. I don't think they predicted Lycus Empire to stick 3 roamers on the second floor holding the bomb site. Maybe that was time to recognize the weakness in and of itself of the remaining anchors and try to force for a rush. Personally, from what I saw, I think they should have slowed it down. After you take out those first 2, get on drones, make sure you know what's clear, and don't allow Defiance to find his friends.
Something that neither one of these rosters has yet to utilize is a multi-shield strategy over here on the West. Teams like to play in Pixel, and Pixel has been played by Emergence early on, but you have to do the Orion strategy, at least a derivative of that, where you're bringing out multiple shields. Putting it in Barback, where you currently see a shield of smoke being played. But if you have multiple shields, also one in washrooms, that's going to force the attackers to utilize a lot of their explosive gadgetry. And you couple that with Maestro in the long run, those Evil Eyes are most likely going to survive until the execute. You are going to have to really rely on the attackers utilizing as much of their explosive capacity almost instantly. And with the strategy that Lycus Empire is utilizing, all of the explosive devices and all the soft devices that Lycus Empire has will be destroyed at some part in the round, because you can't be burning ADSs, or you can't be burning, well, my pancakes, because he's banned. Bin's going to get the opening duel. He's going to survive that this time with his M249 saw, once again dishing out damage.
Lycus Empire punished for playing seemingly too aggressive. It's really hard to hold Pixel when you lack a shield, and I think this is just them trying to win out early. But Sensei will find his frag, taking out the Nomad. I'd hope, for the sake of EMG, that all of the Nomad were already deployed, because if they weren't, that's a huge loss and should allow Lycus Empire to play even more aggressive. A frag grenade cooked over by the white window should be launched in, but oh no, they failed to clear what ADSs remain, and so it just simply gets absorbed. This should provide the perfect intel. Now the player holding inside bathroom given the opportunity to rotate back. Sensei will find Ben, so punished for his earlier frag. Jaeger, Sensei, Braxton from Shaiko spot manages to tag on for a 3rd frag in the round. He's getting all the work done as Emergence seem to be crumbling. Now the rappel from Evil Clouds. I would not be surprised to see Braxton go for a run out here to take down the sledge, and just as we see him approach the garage, the rappel up will come through, and Sensei, I think somewhat aware of this, rotates back up from white. Call will gun down Goria. Now Evil Clouds in a 1v4 with 40 seconds to go. This seems incredibly unlikely for the sledge player.
Braxton's hunt for the ace will be shut down by the M590 of Call. And the top hatch played a Defiance, something that Evil Clouds was not prepared for. That's going to be a free headshot for Defiance. Sometimes you just need to play in rat spots to deliver yourself a round of victory. Lycus Empire knows this too well, because Emergence is skipping steps. They're not doing their due diligence with their droning. They're not clearing the micro positioning of Lycus Empire. And it seems like Emergence is constantly dying to these positions of why on earth was he there? And well, if you ever find yourself dying to that, that means you as an attacker has made a mistake. That means you didn't do your due diligence droning, or you didn't have any drones and you weren't face checking properly. But nonetheless, Emergence is skipping far too many steps, and they're going to have to make those amendments right now if they want to win in this round.
Lycus simply have snuck their way into the match point. The only rounds from Emergence so far, the very first, round number 1, as well as the last round of our first split on the reading defense. It's hard to diagnose the issues when we're playing at such a fast pace here. Lycus Empire moving quickly in every single round. Emergence, I think, are struggling a lot in the refrag game, and that's a big issue, especially what we saw from Braxton last round. He just got kill after kill, and there was nobody there to gun him down. Maybe that's a lack of gunpowder on the day for Emergence. Maybe that's just them having some struggles and a breakdown of communication. They're never in a position, it seems like, to trade out their teammates' death, and that could be indicative of a larger problem. If you're not playing for the refrag game, what are you playing for?
I mean, maybe you just want some ice cream at the end of the day, right? That could be something that you could be playing for. But you're absolutely right. You need to be playing into the 5-second law, which is the refrag law. You can be playing off your teammates. Even when they fall, you need to be getting aggressive and trying to avenge your fallen mate. Because if you don't, you're going to allow the defenders to once again set up crossfires on you and shut you down as you start to work your way down those staircases. And for the time being, Emergence has yet to really answer that call. They're going to be taking the top floor control slowly and eventually, and they have to be very wary. There are members of Lycus Empire all upstairs. It's going to be Sensei, who is Braction, as well as Lethal. And Lethal has been on a tear this round. He's been doing so good. He has stolen Valkyrie away from Defiance.
I guess so. I wonder how that decision went. But you got to know by now that Sensei just loves playing in Shaiko's spot. He'll fall down, I think maybe worried a bit by the drone. But they've got some great Valkyrie cameras. This should provide some wonderful intel for not only simply the coordination, but also possibility of a nitro cell. What have we got on the board? I think we got 2 between Hourly and Gamage, so not the fullest amount of explosive potential, but you'll still be concerned with that. I think 2, you could probably get by with that on this bomb site, just so long as you are accurate with those nitros. Son of Finn crawling through Big Bar. If they're unaware of this, could be an issue, but the nitro from below, talk about explosive! Hourly takes out Finn for the opening kill.
A casualty that should not have gone through, because that's your flank watch, one of your most important operators. And given the fact that Lycus Empire is constantly trying to retake floors, that's a casualty you can't have. Sensei is going to find a headshot of his own, and he's going to be calling for reinforcements, as Lethal's also going to get a casualty. And all of a sudden, Emergence is crumbling. It's now just a 1v4. OMGs rolling through chat. But fortunately for the attackers, the G8 goes Burr. It's going to go Burr on 1, but unable to find the second in the round. And it's going to be round number 9. It is going to be Lycus Empire winning their map pick in spicy fashion.
They'll seal it through and end with a 7-2. No opportunity for Emergence to take any points. We'll have to see what is lying in store for Oregon, but so far it does not look good. If you can't play the trade game on Kafe, Oregon is going to be a punishing one. Still waiting on the expectation. We need to see a huddle up from them, decide what will happen as the game plan moves forward.
Hi, Dash.
I was muted, but hi, Chief. Hello. How is it going?
I'm going well.
But what a fun first map, honestly. I love seeing Lycus. They've really come into their own, honestly. I think that addition of Lethal, you know, nothing against Psycho, he is an amazing player. I think he was still great on the old Lycus roster, but I think they're clicking really now. You know, everyone is performing to the best of their ability, and it really shut down a powerful team like Emergence. I mean, they went really far last season. But what do you guys think? I mean, you were obviously just casting. Any firsthand stuff that you want to say before we pass it on off to Smith and Putin?
I mean, Emergence just need to shut down the aggression of Lycus Empire. They just need to win their 1v1s. That's something they can do. We've talked about it. Emergence has 2 champs that are sitting in the top 100 of the world. So obviously, they know how to click heads. They just need to take a nice deep breath, orchestrate with their teammates, and go for the kills.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to talk about, I spoke with Defiance, as we often do, and he, in response to my question, I asked him, how has the addition of Lethal Gamage in place of Psycho affected the team's performance? And he said there's less of a mental strain on the comms, clearer comms, and just better cohesion in total. So that's interesting, and I think it definitely hits on the point that you mentioned, Sauko. But I think that's about enough for us. We'll be moving over to the analyst desk where they can go ahead and break down our first map of our second series. Analysts, take it away.
Bye, Stick. Bye, Chief. Have fun.
Bye.
Oh, Smith, did somebody kiss you on the cheek, man?
Yeah.
What happened? Who came in?
It was Lycus Empire, because I just knew that this is gonna happen. Lycus Empire kissed me on the cheek, and as a thank you gift for just predicting that they were gonna absolutely tear into Emergence like that.
I thought Braction was waiting for marriage, so I didn't know that was a thing. But in any case, yeah, what do you guys think about that first map? It was Kafe 7-2. That's kind of nuts. for Lycus. I mean, Emergence, they tried putting up a fight, but it's the team's Emergence. It's not just Goria or Clouds, you know. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
So one thing that I want to look at is we saw a very attacker-sided split for Lycus, which is really interesting to see because right now in SCS, the defenders have every advantage as far as win rate goes. For the prep site, defenders have a 60% win rate. For reading, that's a 50-50, which is still pretty good for Kafe. And then for bar, it's a 75% defenser win rate. So when I saw this split coming from Lycus on the attack, I knew that this was going to be a blowout. Because if they were going to be doing these things on the attack, then on the defense, they're going to have just even more of an advantage.
No doubt. I mean, like, their attacks were like nearly perfect. You know, obviously it was a 4-2 advantage for Lycus, and they couldn't do everything right. But like, when they won, their attacks were nearly perfect. It was unbelievable. Like in round 3, man, that good utility usage was amazing. They smoked off the rotates, and they had everybody positioned perfectly and working together and gained the necessary control they needed. I love how they were just pushing into bar. They had one side the big door covered. They killed Jaeger. They ended up killing the Maestro. They killed Smoke. I also just want to point out the first 3 rounds of their attacks, Smoke was picked off first each and every time. So they had no chance to delay the attack. They just came on with the onslaught known as Lycus.
One thing that I also want to look, so the round that's playing right now for the replay, this was a round where we saw them position for a rush outside of Pillar. We're like, oh, okay, somebody's going to be watching the white rotate. They droned out sight. Sledges has a sledgehammer out, but very smart move from them. They rotated their push. They decided to clear out top floor, do vertical control, then go for sight. Because they realized that with the Malusi playing there, with that 1C4, the rush would be over. That to me shows confidence in an IGL and a very confident team.
And I've got. I'm sorry, Smith. But real quick, if you allow me, I had to bring up the point where Goria actually too. We saw it at the very end of round number 2. He kept getting left in these scenarios where he's in a 1vx, specifically 1v4s most of the time. And Goria is a god tier player. I could see him going to PL or CL here in the near future when he turns 18. But in any case, no matter who you are, if you get left in those situations, it's a big disadvantage to have to climb back up from. So that's just another point I had to make. But go ahead, Smith. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and agree with you right there because the team is called Emergence, but I only saw Goria emerge from the ground. Everybody was sleeping in their coffins in their grave. You can truly tell. It was literally like they were trying. I know they were trying their hardest, but goodness gracious, it was a 1v5.
Well,
it really was.
I'll tell you what. I mean, it was just Halloween, so maybe we can channel some of that energy, you know, and resuscitate some people. Get like one of the like necromancers from like Magic the Gathering or something like that, and get them to like cast a spell and just like here they come, out of the dirt, like, and reviving their team and reviving their day. Honestly, because they need to get some points here. In all honesty, they're in the middle ground right now, or if they start dropping maps, it's not going to look good for them for the rest of the season. But I mean, Lycus is in the position right now where they could take a second place, and if they continue the onslaught that we've been seeing, I wouldn't want to play this team. I'm not going to lie.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm scared. I'm actually scared for Emergence. Hopefully they wake up from their grave and just play better in map 2. I mean, they were scared. It seems like they were just scared, and they just kind of fell apart because in round 8, you know, the Jaeger, he ended up killing Nomad with 1 air jab left, right? Then Lethal killed Capital. He was able to just Lethal killed Capital before he was able to even use his utility, right?
Yeah.
The attack fell apart after that. Thermite pushed into New Hatch and got punished by Jaeger. And then Ash, it was a 5v2? 5v2, I think. Yeah, it was a 5v2.
I think so.
Ash pushed into Pixel Door, got shotgun by the smoke playing in bathroom, and then it was just Clouds left. And Defiance, he over there peeking the hatch. Like, This team is truly confident, and you can see in their play just how dominant they are over Emergence.
The one thing Emergence needs to do to change their playstyle in order to be successful against Lycus plays for refrags. Emergence, they're sort of setting up for refrags, but they're not pinching properly. We saw on the roam when they were prep for their pinch, they were able to kill the Vigil. The Nomad was able to go up the white stairs, kill the Vigil. Somebody's going down white stairs, and they were able to pinch that way. However, they didn't have anybody pushing from the reading or mining side, which resulted in the Mozzie getting a 2K. If they're able to communicate better and be able to coordinate their pushes more successfully, then I do see them being more successful because, again, Emergence, they have star players. They just need to be able to work together to be able to show their potential.
Yo, Smit is entering the Nether Realm right now. Yo. Oh my God, he
That's actually kind of
he
creepy
thought-
to look at.
It was pretty sweet. He's back. Oh my, you can see his mouth too. That is scary. He looks like Vigil. You know, like when you're
Vigil.
groaning, when you're no, don't do that. Oh my God,
Scary. It's so
All
scary.
right,
Someone
turn
help me.
off. Turn off. Oh,
he's
jeez.
back. Thank God. He ran out of his Vigil his Vigil juice or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what to call it, man. His ability timer. My God,
That
that
was
was
wild.
demonic.
Yeah.
Speaking of round 7, by the way, Putin, I just want to say, like, they were fine. Like, you know, they had the push going on well. They just had to stop, take a moment, drone out the refs. And, I mean, because they didn't drone and use their intel correctly, Defiance and Cal were able to pick off 4 members off their own game, making it a 1v3.
Attackers are activating the bomb diffuser.
All right. Well, that being said, guys, anything else you want to say just real quick in closing before we hop back on over? I know we've got map 2 ready to go. Everyone's ready to see Oregon in action. We're going to see if Lycus is going to continue their reign of terror. But Smit, Putin, final remarks, anything?
So
I
final
mean-
remarks. Oh, sorry.
I mean, Emergence, all they need to do is work together. They're a team. It's not Goria. Goria is star player for sure, but you guys are stars of your own. All you guys need to do, play together, and you guys will succeed.
All right. Well, we will be seeing if they're going to be playing together here. I'm going to go ahead and kick you all back down to the analyst desk. Go have fun down there. Chat it up. We'll see if Smit comes back with more kisses on his cheek. But in any case, Stick, Chief, get back in here. It's your time. I'm calling you. You're the ringer right now, I guess you could say. But let's hop back into this map.
Really excited to see how things will transpire for Oregon. If Emergence come into this with a solid game plan, I could very easily see them starting off and being successful. It all comes down to how they have prepared to fight against Lycus Empire. Have they done their due diligence, watching back VODs, figuring out how Lycus like to play, no pun intended there, but I think if they come into this with a solid game plan, they can take this away. I want to see them get to at least overtime because nobody likes to see a 2-0 loss. You want to at least get a couple of consolation points, if not take a win here for their map pick. But Chief, what are your thoughts before we go ahead and jump in?
Something that's very concerning me is the fact that Lycus Empire is starting on defense, right? Especially the way they're playing with this aggressive style roam, and then they're able to come back to the bomb site, play passively, and then get aggressive once again. They're able to turn their aggression dial up and down. That's the most important thing. Where a lot of teams, and E United is probably the best example of this, they have one setting. It is full send. And well, as soon as they lift off the gas pedal, the car just basically spins out of control and crashes straight into the wall. Where Lycus Empire, they're able to modulate that throttle a bit and be able to change their level of aggression. And Emergence, I guess, is almost the exact opposite. They're passive the majority of the time. They're able to make the adjustments sometimes, but not enough.
I think that's a beautiful comparison there, Chief, honestly. I mean, I really didn't even think about it United in that sense, so I'm glad you brought that up, but it's pretty apt there. Lycus is just doing so well because, I mean, you mentioned it, Stick, you mentioned it, Chief, so I'm not going to reiterate too much on that point, but in any case, guys, we're going to see if that's going to continue here. Are they going to be able to lift off that gas pedal, or excuse me, put it back on the gas pedal, or are they going to lose that momentum? It's coming right up for you guys. I'll see you at the end of this one.
Too many car analogies, honestly. When you have a race car driver and you're casting, like, what do you expect? That's my default scenario. And speaking about default, Thatcher's probably going to be our first ban, but who will also be joining him? Maverick tends to get a lot of hate on this map, and he can be a phenomenal ban, especially when you go upstairs. Maverick tricking is probably the fastest way at opening north attic wall, but we've seen other hard breachers as well as Capital being the primary bans.
One thing that you can definitely say about Lycus Empire is that they're prepared to play with or without a Thatcher. They have experience doing it both ways, and I think that's one of their big strengths. We'll see the Thatcher does end up being removed here, so fortunately for both of our series, or both of our games in this series, no Thatcher gets to be seen. The attacker ban for Emergence will come through, a Capital ban. Now that's interesting because traditionally here for Oregon, we like to see Emergence. They kind of ban something that's to do with the hard breaching. So whether that's a Thatcher, obviously not an option here, or something more closer to a Thermite, Habana, or more likely an Ace. Another thing that they really enjoy removing is the Clash. I wouldn't be surprised to see them remove it here versus Lycus Empire. But one thing to note, Lycus Empire really doesn't play Clash. Even if she is on the board, just never seems to come out. The Vigil, though, I think is a pretty good one, especially when you see how much they struggled in that previous game. We saw consistently Lethal Gamage was being very successful on his roam with the Vigil. It was hard for them to drone him out. The Wamai as well, this is pretty much your standard set between Thatcher and Wamai for Lycus on their Oregon play. The Vigil ban, I'm interested to see what effect that'll have, though.
I love these bans, particularly that Vigil ban, but also Capital being removed by Emergence. I don't think Lycus Empire is going to be utilizing Capital at all. Now we have to go back and do VOD reviews, but off the top of my head and looking at my notes, I don't think I've ever seen Capital being brought out by Lycus Empire. And I think that's going to nerf, well, Emergence's attack, and significantly, since Emergence was the one that's bringing Capital in map number 1, and Capital is a great operator at breaking down bunker strategies, particularly upstairs in dorms as well as downstairs in the basement. You can send those firebolts downtown, shoot it at the ceiling, and the fire is going to drop down on whoever is below that. Especially with how Emergence is playing, struggling with shutting down bunker positions, it almost seems like folly not to remove it.
Yeah, that's pretty apt. I think I might have seen Capital maybe a few times from Lycus. It traditionally would be Call, though with this new lineup, that's probably something they're still experimenting with. We'll be heading first, though, to the top floor bombs like kids and dorms. The lineup, though, you've got the Legion, which I would say is pretty off meta. The Warden, though, that's what really brings my intrigue here. I wonder if this is for the attic hold. That would be the most immediate situation, especially when you don't have the Wamai. Typically, Wamai would be that one player tasked to remain here. Full stack for those ADSs, as well as one over by Wardrobe as well. So, what happened to Ben? Did he get shot up from a master bedroom spawn peak, or maybe did he walk in front of his teammate?
I'm looking for some destruction. Looks like there's some damage on that door frame or from that barricade. Oh, garage has a lot of damage. It's probably a garage spawn peak. And a lot of bullets in the back wall. I'm going to double down and say there's a garage spawn peak, at least for the information that we have now. Now, Ben has been an operator that has been able to dish out a lot of damage, a lot of kills for his team. And him just falling under 50 HP is going to hurt Emergence attack just a little bit. Sensei's going to be going for a run out, but he's going to think better about his life because opening up that wall is going to give away his positioning.
Oh, no.
And we're going to see his gun barrel, but it looks like Ash was not looking in the right position as Evil Clouds doesn't know Sensei is still on this door frame. They're going to be going back and forth for the time being, trying to do the most lethal dance of all time, but Sensei is going to rotate away.
A lot of time wasted here from the Jaeger on his roam. Evil Clouds kind of playing the waiting game between the Ash and the Jaeger, not deciding who wants to peek first. We'll see more pressure established over by Master Bedroom, but hourly from inside of Attic. They've got a great hole open in the wall, and the Warden will get his second kill. I love to see this soft wall strategy here inside a pit. This is just so creative from Lycus Empire. Now you have a lack of your hard breachers, and you're going to be forced to go at this much more typically. Evil Clouds falls as well, so Lycus Empire up by 3 with Gorion low HP as well, and now dead. Ben at below 50 after that earlier attempt at a spawn peek from the garage door. This does not look good as the tempo starter for Oregon, and I'm starting to get even more concerned. Ben has the impossible to do here with goo mines at the Legion, the smokes canisters, none of which have yet been detonated, as well as plenty of Banshees left. It just seems like there's no way back into this, and Lethal Gamage manages to finally put Ben out of his misery. A flawless round as we kick off our second map.
And Lethal's going to celebrate after this kill. And it seems like Emergence is going to be falling into the same trap they did in map number 1, being far too passive, not understanding exactly how Lycus is going to be holding upstairs, and just trying to actively face challenge deployable shields. And if you're still not familiar with how Rainbow Six Siege has been updated in the past, we'll call it 11 months or so, deployable shields have changed. They now have slits where you can see through them and see attackers walking towards you, which means you can pop up or peek from the side of the deployable shield and be incredibly aggressive. That's why the attackers have to destroy those shields as soon as possible. The attackers were trying to accomplish that goal, but they never really succeeded in that endeavor.
I don't think Emergence were at all prepared to deal with the soft wall strategy and the trophy wall that we saw executed by the Warden. It worked out so well. I mean, taking out both the Ace as well as the Thermite, it's really the perfect concoction to set up there, because if you are Emergence, focusing on an entirely focused master bedroom take, if you can't get inside a trophy, you're forced to address the kid's bed, not the kid's bedroom, the gaming wall. Pushing through that, not going to get you too many favors, especially when you've got a great crossfire from inside of Monster, from, you know, over by the kid's bedroom doorway, as well as simply through from White. There's so many ways that you can attack that. It forced Emergence to come at it with a really unusual plan. Sensei going incredibly aggressive here. It seems they might be aware of this Emergence holding passive on the angle. A swing from the Maverick, barely tagged up, and now down at just above 50. He'll be punished for that, and Sensei gets away scot-free.
If Sensei was able to time that just a little bit better, waiting a half a second longer, he could have got a free kill onto Finn. But the over-aggression is going to cost, I guess, Emergence still a little bit of damage, but Emergence could have been a little bit more prepared for that. They didn't put drones anywhere near barrels, and that's one of the most important things, especially when you're executing onto a particular part of the map. You need to have pre-staged drones. Those drones can not only prevent aggressive plays like that, but they're going to allow your attackers, and particularly your primary entry, to grab control of the map as quickly as possible. Once again, Emergence making a small oversight in the round.
Got to be prepared for something like that. And there's the wonderful angle you see Sensei, or rather Son of Finn, just near, where you hop on the generator and look over those concrete blocks. That could have taken them out. Sensei, though, is so practiced in this position. From what I've seen from him in AEL, every time they play Oregon, he just consistently sits here near the bunker door and kills everyone that tries to approach it. And Lycus Empire have really the perfect strategy to shut down Emergence, because the way that they're attacking this is the default and typical way, trying to force in, take control of blue, as well as elbow. But Lycus Empire are making sure that Emergence can't even get inside of barrels. They're not even allowed to push through here. Son of Finn, or rather moved, will go down now at the hands of Defiance, so great opener.
A huge casualty, and Emergence get an oversight and look the wrong direction, and their entire team begins to crumble. The diffuser is surrendered all the way into class, and Gore is gonna have to rotate out of boiler to confirm that bomb and try to push onto the bomb site. But it looks like they're just gonna be going for kills, and this actually might work out very well for Emergence, given the fact that Lycus might not be prepared for that endeavor. Son of Finn almost blew up
Better
the
think twice
deployable
about
shield.
that.
Yeah, definitely, especially since he's on about 5 HP. A frag grenade will confirm that deployable shield will be no more. What the thing is, it's going to be a tandem push in all the way from the north. Gore is going to find himself all the way in the bomb site, and with a position to get a kill, he's going to get off his angle, but still win his exchange with a perfect headshot with his PDW-9. Lycus Empire will retreat all the way from their bomb site up to the bomb that is currently sitting in Clash. They know they have control. Vertical hole is going to be a free kill for Lethal. This round is going to be a free round for Lycus Empire, as they do confirm it.
I don't know how that even happened. Just the... Was that the... I want to say... Not the Oryx. The... Help me out here, Chief. Malusi. just allowed to kind of hang out near Zig? Like, how does that happen? It just completely is beyond me. She's just allowed to kind of roam and take down everyone, and then Lycus Empire pretty much played that perfectly as you would want. I mean, they rotated, they held the diffuser, and it seemed like what we saw from Emergence, they were still stuck in that mentality of we need to take control of the bomb site. Clearing out that ADS, the shield at elbow, I'm kind of struggling to think why you would be there, especially when you realize every second we see the Maverick waste sitting there is more time burned off the clock and less time that you have to retrieve the diffuser, which is still sitting soundly inside a classroom. Ultimately, Emergence really needs to take a second look here, and it seems like the IGLing is starting to kind of fail in some respects. They need to come up with a solid plan of how to attack Lycus, because so far, what we're seeing from LYE is a perfect deposition of how to defend Oregon.
So in stage 1 of NAL, the meeting room kitchen was the best bomb site across all 7 maps. But here in Storm Competitive Series, particularly utilizing stats from week 1 and 2, this is actually the better bomb site. Now, it has only been played 6 times compared to the 13 times, but nonetheless, this bomb site has about an 80% win rate, and its sister bomb site, which is meeting room, has a win rate close to 30%. So right now, if we're utilizing T3 statistics, this bomb site that we're currently going to, what I tend to call the quaternary bomb site, is superior. But it's still going to require Lycus Empire to utilize these buffer rooms and prevent Emergence from taking control. They're going to be trying to play aggressively as well as relying on utility consumption simulator.
You know, Chief, I think we agree and think alike on a lot of points, but just in my opinion, I don't know. I like dining and kitchen better. There's something about meeting that just doesn't click with me. I don't like how it's set up. I don't like how it's sort of L-shaped. Sensei will go down, but maybe that's just me. It seems like ultimately this bomb site is more successful than a lot of what we see inside of dining. And I think Lycus could make a hold inside meeting, but ultimately, I don't know. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, though. We'll see the hard breach come out as well. So with the opening frag and now an opportunity to move in here, you better watch out, though, from the vertical play, as now Goria and Ben tagged up low and taken down. This could be an execute gone wrong.
Well, right now, I'm always a fan of meeting, but it just doesn't work out in Storm Competitive Series. And once again, it is going to be getting a better stat line, as it looks like Lycus Empire might be able to win this round because they have the man advantage. But you could never write off Team Emergence. They may be struggling this series, but they're a team that is capable of redemption, a team that is capable of brilliance.
What?
And well, Lethal is going to have a brilliant play of his own as he wall bangs them, and now really says, hey, I'm another phenomenal player, so let me get a kill on my own. Now it's just Evil Cloud stuck in a 1v4. He's not prepared for the drop shot of Defiance. It's going to be a flawless cycle for Team Empire as they're able to win 3 in a row.
Yeah, so it's just, I have to dig into that round because Emergence, they kind of did what I would traditionally expect from their team. I mean, they tried to go for a belated push through from meeting, but you kind of need to have a deeper plan than simply opening up the back kitchen wall and trying to walk through there, because Lycus Empire outclassed them in every respect on the bomb site. Not only did they have a really sound angle from inside of security, they also had people stationed offsite playing over by showers, as well as the vertical holds, which I think were the ultimate Emergence downfall. They simply could not look up. It's hard to look up through the wall in that position, and Emergence are just... I keep saying that they're struggling, they're worrying me. Just the way that they're attacking this and coming up with their plan, it just doesn't seem right. The way that you attack Oregon is not being shown here, and they're not coming at this with an attack plan. And I know you talked about Algoria and I think Ben, they're top 100, top 200 champs in the world, but you need to have a little bit more than just what gets you to champion, because Lycus Empire's defensive strategies have just been absolutely tip-top shape, and Emergence don't know how to shut them down.
It's Clouds and Goria that have that distinction. But we're talking about macro strategy. Son of Finn is going to be showing the Amaru and not 6-picking away to it. Now, we have seen some T1 teams being very successful with this, as Sensei is going to be QE spamming his way into a lot of damage being dealt to Ben. Now, I do say a lot, it's going to be about 20, but that could compound down the road as the engagements change up in the latter parts of round number 4. Now, BDS, I believe, was the roster against G2 that did a full send strategy with Amaru. But Son of Finn is going to be electing to repel, not full send yeet his way into the bomb site, and that might work out very well for him, as he's also baiting Attic Window. When it seems like Lycus Empire has an understanding that could be working out, one of the G8s will find a kill. That is going to be Defiance getting far too aggressive on South Window, and Move's going to get a kill of his own.
Well, establishing the man advantage, maybe this finally as the guns come alive. A pre-fire dealing a bit of damage onto Hourly, but the favor is returned as Evil Clouds finds lethal damage, and now up by 4. They managed to shut down Hourly as well, so the hold inside of it completely falls, and now the smoke with his toxic babes remains the final defender left, and it's a simple kill for Moved as he inches through the rotate. Emergence with their first flawless round and a much improved attack plan. You gotta hope they can come up with a couple more like these.
It looked like Lycus Empire was not prepared for the aggression that Emergence had, and this was a perfect showing. We've been saying that Emergence has been far too passive. They haven't been relying on their IGLs and coordinating their attacking executes, and they changed that in round number 4. They were pushing together, they were setting up crossfires, and forcing members of Team Lycus Empire to change up where they were looking. They were constantly going back and forth. They were concerned that there's going to be somebody flying in through the dorm's window, as well through Trophy. And that poor, I believe it was Warden, was looking in far too many angles at the same time. He had no idea where to look, and Move just walked up and got the freest kill of his life. If Emergence is able to continuously utilize that same level of confusion, they can start to win more rounds in attack. They've accomplished 50% of their goal. You have to win 2 rounds of attack, 1 accomplished, 1 more to go.
I definitely see what you mean when you're talking about the confusion factor. It seems like Lycus Empire kind of got bumped off their balance and were unable to stand back up. The hold inside of Attic, which was so successful in the previous Storm's defense, fell without much issue whatsoever. A rotate, though, now we'll see the glass come out. So even more unusual operators in the composition.
Well, when you're an IGL like Finn is, you can just play a plethora of different operators depending on what you're singing around. So like, hey, I'm making a 6-pick, I want to play Glaz. And Glaz has been buffed, and buffed significantly, where he used to be able to just walk around the map and see banana people the entire time. Ubisoft said that was far too oppressive, and they removed that feature. But the feature is back. You can be holding W or A or D the entire time and still see banana people. It can be very oppressive, but you're going to have to rely on those smoke grenades. That is the big contingency plan. You have to be able to have enough utility to be able to throw down range. And fortunately, with the introduction of Ace, the newest hard breacher to competitive Rainbow Six Siege, he can actually do that. He can be incredibly oppressive. You can have as much utility at your disposal as possible. Now, it looks like Emergence won't be going for that type of strategy, trying to delay confusion at least early on. And that was something that Emergence was very successful at. They were able to initiate those entry kills with a lot of damage down range. And, well, they're going to be shut down by this utility. But fortunately, Ash has a lot of soft destruction at their disposal.
Goria sneaking up the stairs dealt a lot of damage. The G8 ultimately just not able to pump out enough to take down the Legion. We'll see Moved falls as well. That'll be Call getting one of a set of kills now as he finds Son of Finn as well. So what looked like a great round previously from Emergence now falls to the wayside. Goria and Ben are tagged up with their teammates of Moved and Son of Finn dead and long gone. More damage being dealt here as Emergence seem to crumble more and more as time goes by. Lethal damage on the Legion, though, a bit tagged up, so that's the one consolation, but the failure to clear out Attic continues to prove difficult. They can't even move into Trophy because that puts you immediately vulnerable to the player lying in wait just over there. Lethal damage, despite being low on the Legion, manages to take down Ben as Defiance chips in for a kill to Goria. Evil Cloud's deciding whether or not he wants to take the damage of that lifeline and shooting open the barricade. Will punch his way in as he moves now through from Attic. And it seems they're well aware of this. The Warden waiting, and maybe they're not aware, but he'll have to make a whole lot of noise if he moves in here, especially in clearing out that Malusi Banshee. And now they're well aware of some shots. You see the Tracers as they move through the second floor. Evil Cloud's continuing to rethink what plan is to be had here, and I think this is just going to be him playing passively while the IGL makes his decision, given a free kill as Call attempts to peek the window.
Seconds remaining.
Yeah, this is definitely just wasting as much time as possible, and maybe padding some of those stats as well, because he's going to allow Finn to talk amongst themselves, adjust what they need to going into round 6. Because as we were highlighting, Emergence has actually done a very good job in attack. They have won one round. If they win one more, that is a perfect scenario to be in as they move over to defense. And I know Lethal is dropping LOLs in chat, but saving KD, saving the op, is a viable strategy, not because of the KD or the op, but it allows you to talk amongst yourselves. It gives you about a 40-second technical timeout, and in a game that you can't take pauses unless you flip your router, that's the best way to utilize it.
I like the analogy of saving the op, but yeah, they kind of need to figure out what's to be had for this final attack round. Unfortunately, there's really no way that you're winning a 1v4 with 20 seconds to go as the last player for your team. Back to the basement, though. Lycus Empire have looked pretty solid so far, actually only needing to go down here once in round number 2. And I don't know, I think that was the round which we saw the diffuser kind of just hanging out inside of the classroom, and then everyone from Lycus Empire pretty much fleed the bomb site. It was pretty much a ghost town down here on the first subfloor. And I don't see how Emergence can beat this strategy, especially with how they floundered last time down here. It just was a complete showing. Lycus Empire have mastered how you need to hold this, especially with Sensei's hold. He almost never falls in the opening engagement without at least wasting some time, and somehow Lycus are still able to find a refrag, given that very difficult position. Already you're beginning at the disadvantage because the attacker simply can outrange you sitting at blue barrels. You also need to factor in that the attackers kind of can get the drop on you sometimes, so I imagine the defense can do just that. A smoke out will have a bit of a rush here. Emergence finally seem to realize that the soft hold of E-Box has proved them very difficult, and they will move on up to try to avoid this given time, and we'll see excellent use of the hard breach as well. So now the E-Box wall made soft, moves, finds Call, and we'll see Defiance get one onto move, so they refrag at least, but Son of Finn manages to tuck tail and take out lethal damage.
Well, Lycus Empire was caught off guard temporarily, but they're able to get more refrags down the road, and they're going to be losing those exchanges even more. It seems like it's a back and forth for the time being, and it's going to be Goria just walking his way to the bomb site, as it's now just a 1v3. Sensei's going to have to rotate all the way home, but he's going to be rotating to a home filled with Emergence players as they're able to win 2 rounds in attack. A perfect place to be in with a 4-2 split.
Good shift here in the momentum for Emergence taking that round, and perhaps I should eat my words. Their attack plan addressed the many issues that they had working previously. When Emergence goes slow, try to play typical, I think that's when we see Lycus Empire succeed the most. So when we were talking about the fact that Emergence can be a very frag-heavy team during the pregame, maybe we need to see a little bit more of that. To the defense, the first bomb site will be that tertiary of kitchen and dining. The Warden, which we saw played frequently from Lycus, now will be the pick for Goria as we go through for round number 7. You got the Alibi as well, which is not the most common operator. The Maestro, I don't know what that was. The Maestro, as well as the Jaeger in combination with the Malusi, is probably what you would come to expect. And I'm interested to see how this plays out, because I think it could work. If you're trying to play aggressive, the Alibi can enable that. if you're, you know, not the best in the trigger discipline, maybe Lycus Empire shoot a couple of those holograms, give away your position, that enables the aggression.
And we're going to see 3 sets of impact grenades, which basically means Cal on the ace should never be able to open up any wall whatsoever, because those impact grenades should destroy them. Now, if they do open up the dining room wall, there is no way to be impacting trick that, but the attackers have to get control of the buffer rooms, and the most important buffer room is going to be showers, unless they do an east take into meeting room. Now, the problem with the east take into meeting room is it's going to fatal funnel the attackers all through their breach, so they're going to have to set up a contingency plan and hopefully doing basically a boa constrictor type strategy all the way from the west as well as the east. It looks like, I think that was Goria trying to get aggressive all the way here on the bus window, but some bullets sent down range, but none's going to find their targets.
So it seems Emergence are going to play a similar strategy as what we saw from Lycus in extending vertically. This is what you would traditionally expect. Flashbang tossed out as well. So burning the ADS, they're going to try to hard breach open the wall, and opening up the dining portion at least will be destroyed. I'm really confused. How did that happen? Is there an evil on? I feel like that might be the suspect. Maybe it's back there tucked in the corner, but Defiance manages to grab the opener and damage with one as well. The Warden overpeak manages to shut down the sledge, and now jumping out hourly cuts down the Nomad, or himself dies as the Nomad, and Lycus Empire with a very sporadic attack. The frags going back and forth, no team knowing exactly what is going on. The Warden will be detected now as he rotates inside of small tower. It should be understood. We'll see the Zofia herself moving up, but the Warden pops up and doesn't know where the Zofia is, or at least recognizes that, as now Gamage falls. Call onto Finn. The Warden, they gotta know where he is with sight control.
And Goria's going to have to clutch ace in this round with bombs starting to be planted on the deck. He's going to get the 4K in this round. Cal's not going to get off the diffuser as we deliver ourselves to a post-plant scenario. 1v1, mono via mono, and Cal's going to take a lot of damage. The MPX is going to be eagerly hunting for blood. He wants to confirm the kill, swapping over the SMG-12. No contact whatsoever. Lycus Empire able to win on the cautionary bomb site. A phenomenal showing by Goria, but unable to confirm the final.
Man, that round just completely threw me off. It was so just back and forth, the perfect aggressive style of siege, and Emergence nearly making it there, choosing to rotate twice into big tower. The Zofia falling was critical. Gamage was simply completely caught off guard as we saw the Warden peek up. We've got the Ella now as the Dorm's defense, a complete shift in the composition, though actually the Mirror will be 6 picked away from, as Evil Cloud's making that decision. The Cade. Cade is an operator which we don't get to see a whole lot here, and surprisingly he hasn't actually been played through a majority of these rounds.
Well, Ash was being shown in the 6-pick phase, but we're going to be seeing a Ying in the long run. Sensei's been a little bit quiet in map number 2, currently sitting at a negative deficit, but he's an operator and an individual that can change on a dime and start to find huge impacts. And the Ying play currently is going to be a great showing of that. Lycus Empire seems like they want to constantly keep this tempo up and try to be as aggressive as possible for as long as possible. It seems like the nitrous in their 5-cylinder engine that is Lycus Empire is constantly on full blast, and they keep cranking it up round after round, and they're able to bully their way into bomb sites. If they're able to do that once again in round number 8, it might be an identical scoreline to round number or map number 1.
Moves prepping this window early, Sonofin tagged up, so I think they're going to try and do that same rotation strategy, or maybe kind of a reversal where you'll run out a small tower. Maybe this is also just them trying to scare Lycus into being unprepared. Sonofin waiting at bottom main. Maybe he's going to try to come up and bisect the push as we see the repel come out from Defiance. They'll move in quickly, wasting no time. Though Sensei goes down. We'll see Goria very aggressive. Hard to wield that gun, but he manages to get it done as now Ben shuts down Defiance as well. Advantage for Emergence on the bomb site as GN dropped in chat, but Sonafin shuts down Hourly. This round is looking desperate. Gamage fights back, but cut down quickly as Goria manages to score his second with the Scorpion. Call has to find so many frags, but a Nitro will need him.
And it looked like Lycus Empire was attempting to take 1v1 gunfights and, well, just didn't lose it this time. It's pretty much the reverse Uno card, where Emergence was doing the exact same thing on attack, taking 1v1 gunfights with no possibility of a refrag. And it all started off with Braxton getting far too aggressive and not really relying on his Yin Candelas. He tried to push on through, but the only thing he pushed into was a deployable shield and an Ella hiding behind that shield. Sure, Lycus Empire can keep their foot to the pedal to the metal the entire time. That is great, but you sometimes need to understand when to lift off of it. And that was a perfect round when to lift. It's going to be round 3, at least on the win department for Emergence. And if they're able to continue with this snowballing momentum, they might be able to win more rounds on defense.
You're exactly right there, and Emergence are well within still making their comeback. They could win this in regulation should they take the next, God, that would be 4 rounds in a row. So it's pretty unlikely to see them exit here. I imagine Lycus Empire still's got decent amount of fuel in the tank. They just got to worry about Emergence playing this aggressive style of siege. We've seen this before from Emergence, where it's almost kind of guerrilla warfare. That's the best way I can describe it. They're attacking, going for gunfights when they can, not waiting for Lycus Empire to give them the opportunities. And honestly, that's the right way to go about this. Lycus Empire aren't playing the most frag heavy in this map. They're playing structured. They're playing how you would traditionally expect from a T3 team. So might as well try to take every opportunity. And if you can't get an opportunity, well, make your own.
And so far, members of Emergence have been creating their own destinies, particularly Clouds and Goria, who I think are sitting at north of 10 kills. And they're able to constantly find impacts in this round. I think they're going to call for more reinforcements. They need just a little bit more help to be successful. And that help might come from a unique strategy all the way over here in Small Tower. It looks like Emergence has identified how Lycus Empire wants to attack. They want to take control of Small Tower as soon as possible. So they're going to be saying, move. Your job is now to play in Small Tower and waste as much time as possible. Rely on those alibi pings, and you're going to stand up and get aggressive as soon as you have that information. Gore is going to find himself in almost the exact same scenario over here by White Stairs. He wants to try to get aggressive as soon as he hears a call that Lycus Empire has trophy.
It's a good point to talk about Lycus kind of falling into the same mistakes here. They're making a few changes, though, and I like this. They're trying to go for a bit of a push more towards the top floor inside of the second, inside Kids Dorms. Goria, though, trading blows with Defiance, who Shift W'd his way in. Very sloppy from him. A rare missed shot. Goria tagged up quite a bit between Defiance and Lethal Damage, and now even more damage dealt as the proned out Goria, I think that's him inside of Dining, will deal a bit of damage onto Lethal Damage, though not of much consequence. What's more to worry, though, the player down by Roses. Control of the top floor mostly will go to Lycus Empire now, but a bit of explosives tag up damage even further, as we'll see a rotate from the Warden. Sprinting, twisting, and turning inside back kitchen. His position is known as Sensei manages to find moved. More damage being dealt as we see pre-fires come out. Control of meeting to fall into the hands of Lycus Empire with man advantage, though, in favor of Emergent. Hard to say whether or not they'll be successful in going through this push.
You can really see the damage that Emergence did by killing Defiance early on. That sledgehammer won't have an impact in the round, and it's actually forcing other soft breachers to utilize the majority of their utility. You saw Lethal putting his impact grenades on the floor, as well as Sensei incorporating that as well. Because, well, they needed to have that sledgehammer, and the sledgehammer was no longer a factor. Evil Cloud's gonna give away his position over an elbow. He's gonna pre-fire and lose that exchange. He had a perfect position to go for the flank and be successful there, but his unbridled aggression is gonna cost him his life. But Ben is gonna have the redemption stories. He gets the kill back on the Sensei, and the hold over in security is gonna work out brilliantly for the time being, but they call him one of the best players in Storm competitive series. Gory is going to go for the wide swing, save his team the round.
Nearly a mistake that cost them the round, though. Emergence able to fight back. They smooth over the mistake made by the flanking Melusi of Evil Clouds and the round in the end, now standing within a single round victory of tying us up, making the game even, something we haven't seen since the second round of Kafe. Lycus Empire's lead starting to turn to ash as a resurgent Emergence moves ever so close to taking their opponent, or rather taking their own map pick, though it's still a bit of a concern that they're having to achieve it by unusual means. We'll see the Caviar and the Cap Can, quite a combo coming out here from Emergence in their defense, but the weird operator selection that we saw before has managed to win them rounds, so might try to experiment just a little bit more.
I mean, we call it the Defiance Special, and I guess, sure, Defiance is in the lobby, but he's currently on attack. So it's not him utilizing the Cav, it's going to be his opponents. So I'm curious to see if he has strategies to deal with it. Cav is probably the most high-risk, high-reward operator. If you're able to get a free kill and there's nobody on Lycus Empire anywhere near the zip code, you can go for the interrogation, and that's going to be about 7 seconds of free information. But what does that free information give you? Well, it gives you temporary wall hacks, but you have to be able to capitalize on that information, and that's the most important thing. Now, Lycus Empire has been doing solo roam clears, playing very far away from their friends and their mates. So Cav could work, but there's probably better operators to roam with in the long run.
Lycus seemed to be less focused on trying to go for a full extended roam clear, instead electing to push from bunker as well as the typical back stairs. Nobody contesting on T1, so it should be fairly free, and they should be able to maneuver here freely, though still a concern will be moved on the Caviera. She comes through near attic. That could be a major roadblock, and an interrogation would be demoralizing for the Lycus Empire squad, who are already starting to fall to a couple of mistakes. And here it comes, the Caviera flank. She'll move on through, though deciding not to. Still will be worried about, I think that's Defiance waiting inside of top of the tower. Hopefully manages to cut off the flank, but a different way to go. And oh no, the air jab completely locking off the Caviera. She'll fall on her butt, and Hourly is there to get the frag as she takes her out. And the man advantage now goes the way of Lycus Empire. Change good to see from them, as we've seen them struggle in many of these previous 4 rounds. Now they will begin, though, to think about the future of their attack plan. Another roamer coming out from Emergence. An attack and execute now could be costly for the Emergence squad, who have only 3 members on site.
But the flank could pay a lot of dividends in the long run, especially if there are no more flank drones. But the problem is Hourly still had air jabs in his back pocket, and those were redeployed after the fact, after Moved got blown into oblivion. Now the attackers have set up a siphon on the bomb site, but it's going to be shut down as Ben's going to find 2 kills this round. No more bullets in his primary weapon, forced to switch to his pistol. Gore, the man who was trying to flank, will now be removed, and back to an equal man count in the lobby. But the attackers still have a strong position in the round, and I misspoke. Gore was the one on site. There's still an individual somewhere off site. Sensei's gonna stand up in the mirror hold, and he's gonna be forced to stand down as he's gonna be taking a lot of damage. Here was the strategy that Emergence was trying to utilize. Multiple angles from above. Clouds, it's gonna work out for him as he gets a kill, and it looks like Lycus Empire is perplexed. They have no idea where that engagement took place from, but Cloud's gonna have to rotate all the way back down. He's gonna be making a lot of noise in this rotation, but he's gonna be spotting the planter. Cal is gonna be shut in that animation, and Aura's gonna have to pick it up, and this is gonna force Clouds to rotate back into his bomb site, most likely retake it, but the Avenue's pre-set up in the round is gonna deliver himself to a shot, but unable to deliver himself to a kill.
Evil Clouds changing his mind, deciding whether or not he wants to flank in from E-Box, go down storage hall, ultimately costing a bit of time there. And should he have gone for the straight shot, I think he might have been able to seal out that round, but because of the loss, now Lycus Empire ensure that at least they will get a point for the overtime loss. And the gains here that can be made from Emergence are lessened by that defeat. Now we stand within reach of match point. Unfortunately, for what we've seen from Lycus Empire. They have just a lot of their attack rounds have been really sloppy, which is not what we've seen traditionally from them. Emergence have been very successful on the roam, even lacking operators that you would traditionally see here for Oregon, like the Vigil that they banned. They're choosing to bring, people like the Malusi, like the Caviera, and now we'll see the Oryx. A good switch from them, and Defiance with a nice remark there.
Oh, poor Collegiate R6 getting roasted. And well, if you're joining us from CR6 from the college scene, there are a few of you here competing in this league as well as them, so we always appreciate seeing the double dip. Now, what Defiance is referring to is the fact that Emergence is playing meta, or operators that currently aren't in the meta. Operators that don't get a lot of love, operators that don't get seen a lot, and people just say they bring no utility, so why on earth am I going to utilize them? And Orc can actually be a great roamer. You can have a lot of flexibility in a roam because you can just yeet yourself through a wall. And the way Emergence has been playing this very aggressive style, changing up your style to these almost hyper aggressive madness might actually work out well, because Lycus Empire isn't doing their homework. They aren't doing their due diligence, and they aren't clearing the map on the roam. Son of Finn is going to try to go for a spawn peek, but it looks like Lycus Empire has been alerted to his position. They're going to be calling for reinforcements. It looks like it's going to be 5 members of Lycus Empire clearing out poor Finn.
Trying to go for something aggressive, but Lethal Gamage manages to secure the opening kill, and Nitro Cell tossed out, but to no result. The Sensei will move in, and the Capcan overstays his welcome as Zofia manages to get to fight her way to a second pick. Now we'll see Emergence, who are already on match point, in a little bit of a worse shape. Still got the Star Fragger of Goria, but Lethal Gamage, the newest addition, gets yet another pick. All 3 going his way, and Goria looking for something, any opportunity, as a 2-stack of Lycus Empire attackers moves their way up white. A swing from the Ela manages to get 1, but not 2, as the Ace, now dead, manages to push in and get a frag. Evil Clouds and Nitro in hand, attempting to deny a plant, but it's not there, and the plant is neither. Evil Clouds with the Cade, the AUG 3, not the most powerful weapon, tagged up below 50. The plant is now, but the Nitro Cell long gone. Lethal Gamage, a 4K for him, going huge. Lycus Empire managed to take it, even though they needed a bit of workshopping. Oregon goes their way in the end.
Emergence was trying to fight fire with fire. They were trying to bring the heat. They wanted their spicy curry. But at the end of the day, sometimes the best way of stopping a fire is with water. I love how Emergence was trying to change up their strategy. They definitely needed to do so. They're far too rigid on Kafe. But the adaptations they were making just weren't the answer to their problems.
Oh my lord, guys. So this was probably one of the craziest series that I think I've seen so far from SCS. Just the fact that how well Lycus played with each other, or played together, and then Emergence coming out as well and putting on a good show and getting a couple rounds on Oregon was good. I'll give him that much. And Goria again, he got nearly, I believe, 15 kills on that map. But I'll say real quick, Lycus May gave me permission to do this one time the entirety of the season of SCS, and I'm going to go ahead and redeem it right now. But your new roster, I'm going to hit this right here, okay? So that's all I got to say about that. Chief, Stick, anything you guys want to say?
I'm just recovering from the button you just utilized, so I don't know how to formulate a coherent sentence, but apparently our interview is ready.
I got one, and I chose to do it now. I know it's only week 3, but we did it, so.
Well, you're right. You absolutely did it, my friend. I don't know if that's something you want to be proud of. And, well, my friend Defiance is going to be joining us. Congrats on your victory against Emergence. You've entered in a discombobulated chat, but congrats once again.
Thank you very much.
Now, that was a phenomenal showing. I know you were hyping up this match. You said it was going to be a landslide. Did you deliver in that aspect?
Not as much as we wanted to. On Oregon, it was kind of an upset. They were kind of trolling at the end, so it didn't really matter. We won our 3 points, so at the end of the day, you know, we're better, so that's it.
So you say they were trolling. They're running operators that weren't in the current meta. Were you surprised by that, and did it work against you?
It didn't work. We were just like, we kind of like were trolling at the end as well. Like, they gave up because we're just a better team. They know it, and all their strats were like garbage and they weren't working at all. So they decided, hey, let's go play rank because that's the only thing we're good at. So that's what they did.
Oh man.
Now, you're talking about bringing rank strategies, and I actually want to pick your brain. Back over to map number 1, which was Kafe. You guys had 5 members of your roster sitting outside Hell Door on a
Yeah.
reading room defense. Were you prepared for a rush? And if so, what called the rush? Or what did you see on your drones, and what stopped you from rushing?
Reading takes most teams, especially in T3, have a slow setup, especially the Mute Castle and probably they run a smoke as well. They have slow setups, so most of the time you can easily rush into from Hell into Reading. But I droned it out and Braxton said, "Oh, nade the close door. You'll kill the Malusi and then you can go in." I'm like, "Okay." I drone it and then I see an ADS. At that point, with an ADS and a Malusi to burn to do a rush, it's just not worth it at that point. We just went to do our normal take and it worked out for us.
Perfect. I think we're starting to run out of time, so Stickula, I'm going to pass the questions over to you.
So you talked about kind of the ranked style that we were seeing from Emergence in the second half of that latter map, and it seemed like it was working in some respects. You kind of identified that your team was also trolling. What was it about that ranked style of play that led to your loss, and a couple of rounds where it seemed like there was some, I don't know, some chaos going on?
I mean, we're setting up for an execute, right? And normally they're just supposed to play their strat. If their strat is to swing everything, great. Wow, that's a pretty good strat, but that's all they did in Oregon. All they did on defense is swing. After we called out Goria for not able to for baiting the entire round, he decided, "Hey, I'm gonna swing everything now." So on defense, if you played Jaeger or whatever, he's the first one dead. Well, good job. You swung for nothing. And then when he's playing attack, he's trying to swing and he just dies. He's impactless. Like when he versus a good team is useless. He's just getting free kills against other teams.
Sure. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and give you an opportunity. Maybe if you want to say anything to your fans, shout anyone. Time.
Yeah, well, thank you for everyone from Lycus and Braxton's stream for supporting us. Hopefully we gave you an entertaining show. And for Emergence, you guys should check out my YouTube channel, Defiance R6, for good content on how to play competitive Siege, because I think you need it.
Oh my lord.
Okay.
I would normally,
coming in
I
with
would
the
norm-
fire.
I would normally say like that wasn't, that's not warranted, but you guys backed it up tonight, so I'm gonna say you go for it, man. Like, go for it, and
Yeah.
we'll see if Emergence is able to respond to that next week, honestly, and maybe see you guys in the playoffs. We never know. I smell a potential rivalry coming, but with that being said, looks like we are a little bit out of time here, you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick it on out, but thank you, Defiance, for being with us. Chief, Stickula, you guys did amazing tonight. Thanks again for that. And I'm going to go ahead and bring back Smit and Putin for one last time tonight and see what they had to say about it. But it's been fun, guys. I'll see y'all.
Thank you.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Analyst friends, hello. Oh, my.
Hello.
The stream
There we
died.
go.
Yeah, now I can see it. Okay, I couldn't tell what was happening for a minute. But Smit, Putin, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It was honestly really nice to see Emergence at least get some momentum.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb.
I'm baffled. I'm so baffled. I was not expecting Defiance to hit him with that. All right, I got tutorials. Go check out my YouTube channel.
I mean, hey, shameless self-promotion mixed in with a diss, mixed in with like, I don't even know, man. That's pretty funny. I'll give it to him.
T3 just got a lot more entertaining. That's all I gotta say.
Honestly, oh my lord. All right, well, what you guys got for me? Y'all were coming up with some pretty interesting stuff, I bet. So let's see what you got.
Well,
Yeah.
I wanted to highlight this round because this is the quickest round I've ever seen in the history of SCS.
Okay.
This round ended at 2 minutes. It was a whole 1 minute round. And it was insane. Before, oh my goodness. It was a 4v1. And then the last person died at literal 2 minutes. You're about to see it right here.
All right.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom. 2 minutes. 2 minutes left on the board and you die like that. That's crazy. But in round 9, I just wanted to say, like, in a kitchen dining attack, right? Defiance, he ended up dying to Goria at 1 minute and 47 seconds before he was able to make any vertical pressure above, which is it swung things in my opinion in the side of Emergence winning that round because they ended up winning that round. Goria really made things flexible for his team, and you combine that with good positioning from Emergence when they tried to do a kitchen take. It was really good. Like it won Emergence the round, and I thought that they're gonna keep that momentum going. They were so close. They were working together really well. Even if they were like as Defiance put it, just kind of throwing, not playing serious. Um,
I will say before I throw it over to Putin, I mean, this is sort of how they were playing last season, you know? I mean, Sonofin confirmed it too, you know? They just sort of went for it. They came up with strats and ideas on the fly, and it just sort of worked out for them because, I mean, when you look at it, other T3 teams are really organized, you know? And so when you play a disorganized team, it's very frustrating and it can work out against you. But in any case, Putin, what do you think about these rounds here, round number 9 in particular?
So what I'm going to point out before I talk about the rounds is the win rates of the sites that we saw played today.
Mhm.
So the one that we're currently watching right now, Kitchen has an 83.3% chance to win on defense. So right now in SCS, we are seeing a heavy defender side Kitchen hold. This is because it is so rarely played. I think this is out of 6 rounds, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's not a huge pool, but it's still a very interesting statistic to see. The other sites, they're pretty standard, such as Laundry, a 51.6% chance to win. And then Kids. Kids is another one that's kind of high for defense. It is 67.8. So honestly, we did see those defender ratings kind of play inside of the rounds that we saw today, which really let Emergence get some momentum, actually get some rounds on the table. Like we're seeing in round 9, where the Emergence, they win more or less because of the positioning is the best way to put it. The Evil Clouds, what we're about to see right here, if he had the better trigger discipline, this would not have been such a close round. If he held that angle more passively and more patiently, then honestly, it would have been a lot easier for the defenders.
Oh, I could see a lot of what you mean there. I mean, already when he died, it was only about 30 seconds left on the clock. So if you wait just a little bit longer and then go for the swing, you know, it could convert for you. But I mean, obviously, Emergence still did win this. So not too much of a detriment either way, but it could have saved you a little bit more time, a little bit of a, you know, couple lives, couple stats for your teammates. So in any case, but here's round number 2. Smit, I'm going to kick this one over to you here with the last couple minutes here of our time together. What made you guys choose round number 2 here?
Oh, it was actually Putin who chose this round.
Okay.
So I am going to let him explain this part. I was watching, I promise. But I'm not gonna steal all the thunder from him, man.
Oh, you're all good. All right, so going over round 2 is... Oh man, my note's deleted. But we'll still go over this. So round 2, I believe, was a Emergence victory, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. No, it was Lycus victory.
Okay,
Dang,
no.
okay, Smith coming out.
Bro.
He's like, okay.
Okay, I told you,
Called
my
out.
note's deleted.
I know, I
so
know.
I wish I still had them. But looking at this, looking at their attack right now, the Maverick position outside of blue with no support, just heavy main stair pressure and freezer pressure is the push that they mainly did for this. They brought the Jackal for the roam clear, but they primarily didn't need it for this attack because Lycus Empire, they played more turtle defense, which seemed to really work out in their favor. And honestly, I feel like that is more the play against Emergence, because Emergence loves to swing everything.
I mean, you know, what really went on like in this round was just the fact that Defiance, he shut down the laundry push when they were trying to go for a freezer, well, I believe a freezer and laundry push, and it just shut down the laundry push by killing off Ace and Zofia. So when that happened, the defensive side obtained a diffuser, as you can see right here, killed off the Ace, killed the diffuser, and they just positioned themselves to hold the diffuser accordingly. I mean, that's where you could see, and later in the round, you could see Lethal holding the angle on Laundry stairs. So he ended up getting a pick off of that, and I mean, the attack lost, just trying to get the diffuser.
Very
Well-
true. One thing I also want to point out is the shield that they have on the freezer door facing pillar. To me, that is a very strong shield. With that shield, you're able to hold the pillar. Like, you don't have to physically hold pillar anymore. You can just hold it from freezer. Well, with that pixel peak that you also saw in there, pillar's just locked down. You have that control.
I'm a little bit confused real quick there. I'm going to call out Sonafin real quick, so I'm sorry if you're watching Sonafin or if Blackfin's watching too. But in any case, you see what he was doing there in J bunker or elbow, whatever you want to call it. The wall is already reinforced fully. There's no rotation there, and there's a Goyo seal just sitting there. He uses his utility. Like, first off, he shoots an ADS, which is fine, but then he tries to use his utility to blow the Goyo. He gets one grenade ADS, and then he decides to throw his second and final grenade at the same shield when there's no tactical use of that anymore. I'm a little bit confused on that. So maybe that's just a story of the day for Emergence. There's just a couple like misplays and things like that going on. I don't really know, because we're seeing a different Emergence this season from what we did last season, and it's for them it's a little bit unfortunate because it's going sort of retrograde from what you'd expect for a team that's been together for so long. And I'm not trying to dog on Emergence too hard because I love those guys, but I don't know. What do you guys think, Smith?
I think that. Oh, sorry.
Anybody can take it. I just pointed to Smith because he looked like he was ready to go. I'm not sure.
All right.
Yeah, I
I'll
was
do-
actually going to agree with you there.
Hey!
The fact that they took off the deep bunker, he used his utility on a useless shield like that. He could have used that for the deep corner pillar wall to get rid of the shield there, and then they would have had nothing protecting them there. That
Right.
shield's a very powerful shield to have over there, and I like it. I never seen such a thing like that before.
Yeah, it's one thing that I want to point out too is kind of just them throwing at the end Emergence. For me, if you're a team, I'd personally love to see a team still try to go all the way, because Emergence, they did start to get momentum. They lost a round and then they started playing. Like, look at this. We have a Capcan, we have a Caveira, and they just started throwing their lives away. So I'm not sure if they just got tired and just want to close out the map, but
I think especially with this season, you have to continue playing these. Even if you get it to overtime, you're guaranteed at least 1 point. You know what I mean? You have to push for that 1 point, because who knows? I know it's only week 3 and it's an 11-week season, but if you go down the line, that 1 point could be the make or break between what sends you to 6th place overall and into the playoffs, or 7th place and ends your season and you're stuck with just the the consolation reward. You know what I mean? So if I were that team, you get frustrated. That, like, for sure, that happens. You get frustrated, but you just have to keep playing. And I expect Emergence to come back with a vengeance next week, honestly. And I think they've had their hardest game here this week. I think Lycus came through, but I'll give it to you guys just for a little bit longer. We've got maybe just a couple seconds left. So any closing remarks that you guys want to say before we finish up for the evening?
I would say Emergence don't get discouraged. Lycus Empire is definitely one of the strongest teams I've seen play in SCS right now, and you guys were still able to put up a fight.
I just want to say that Cal followed me mid-match.
What? Okay. I guess if you're up that much, like, you might as well. I don't know.
That's all I gotta say.
All right. So is that the Lycus smooch that you received then, was Cal?
Yeah, pretty much. It was just
Oh,
a
okay.
gift bestowed upon me.
Gotcha. I was wondering what happened with that all map, but okay, we figured it out. Mystery solved. So with that being said, guys, I think that pretty much wraps it up for tonight. So before we end, I do want to remind you all, go check out our Twitter, because I know we don't have a game anymore tomorrow because of the forfeit of 303 versus Redux, but the giveaway is still active until midnight tomorrow Central Time, or 1 a.m. Eastern. So go check out our Twitter, sign up for that. It's a possibility to win one of these beautiful headsets, HyperX Cloud Revolvers. Definitely get involved with that. But otherwise, I don't really have anything else for you guys. So with that being said, that ends week number 3. It's been a phenomenal one, and we'll see you all next week in SCS. Thanks.
We love HyperX here.